Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. I've been getting asked to make a video on a beaded headband, and when I was a little girl I wore headbands all the time, and I never had one that was beaded, so I'm very excited to do a video on this. I thought that I would just do one that was all seed beads weaved with elastic cord, but then I realized that seed beads are shiny and that would cause the headband to slip off our heads. And since I would be using seed beads, I would have to use a thin elastic cord. Then I remembered using thin elastic cord in the past, and it was a nightmare because the elastic stretched out with just a couple of uses. So I figured the best thing to do is to buy good quality headbands that don't slip off our heads and just decorate them. I went shopping and bought two different headbands from two popular brands, Scunci and Goody. This one here is made by Scunci, and I found this at Walmart, and I'm sure you can find both of these styles of headbands at Walmart, Target, Kmart, all different stores sell them, and also drugstores. You can find them there too. So this one headband is made by Scunci, and this style's been around for a couple years now because I've bought these in the past and I still have them today. So this is called Scunci No Slip Grip, and on the inside of the headband there's this rubber which keeps this from sliding off of our head. So this is a thick elastic headband, and it's a really nice stretch to it, but it's kind of hard. So I knew that when I went to decorate this, I would have to wrap my beads around it. So this one I bought at Walmart, and it was $4 and some change, and I also saw this Goody one there. And this one, I want to say it was $6 something at my Walmart, but I didn't buy it, I just went with this one. So I went to the dollar store and I found these same exact headbands for $1 at the dollar store. So I got a whole bunch of them. Now this one here is really nice, has a really good stretch to it, but it's soft. It's not like this one where it's the hard elastic. So with this one I knew that I could sew seed beads onto the top of it, and this one I could wrap larger beads on top of that. And this one I found in so many different colors. I found a gray and purple mix. There was also a darker gray one here, but I already took it off. It's a 4-pack. And here's another one, and this one had a purple and red one that I took off and I've been working on. And here is another one in brown. So you can also see that all these packages look different, but they all have the same name, the Goody Stayput headband. Goody Stayput, Goody Stayput. This one also says Stay Put. And I want to say that these have been around for a while too, because in the back of the package it says 2008. So this one here is like a hard elastic, and these ones are soft. So with this one I knew that I could decorate it, but I couldn't use seed beads because I would have to wrap the beads around this, and if I use seed beads, the seed beads would flip to the underside under here and it would get stuck in our hair. So this is one that I decorated, the Scunci one, and this is an older headband I had, and I just loved this color with my pearls. And this one here also has the rubber thing on the bottom, and I wrapped this one with monofilament. Now, if I were to do this with seed beads, the seed beads would flip to the back side, so you have to use a larger bead with this kind of headband. And also, you need a bead that is from hole to hole the same width as your headband, so it covers the top, so you can see that these beads are the same width. And you will need 12 inches. So what I did is I just took and laid out a pattern of beads 12 inches long, which my bead mat is 12 inches long, so I just had them going straight across my bead mat, and I picked that pattern up. And I have two different shapes of beads here, but I have 3 different colors, and I just alternated them. Now for the softer headband, this one I knew that I could decorate it with seed beads. So this is one I made, and I used an Iris Mix hex cut seed bead, and I use the hex cut because it is very sparkly and very glamorous. It really shows off on your head. Now when I decorated these, I knew that I would have to decorate them in a way that wouldn't interfere with how they stretched. So that was very important. So I figured out how to decorate this without messing with a stretch. So this one I used fireline and hex cut C beads. In this one I used monofilament and larger beads, and you can use all different kinds of beads for this one. You can use flat ones, the round flat ones, like here I have the coin shape. The square ones are also nice. I will be using square beads in the video to show you how to make this one. So I'm going to show you how to decorate both of these because they are done two different ways. This one is wrapped around the headband and this one is sewed on. This one I would say is a little bit easier to make than this one though. So again, you should be able to find these at all different stores. This I got from Walmart. It was $4 and some change. This I also saw at Walmart, but I want to say it was $6, maybe a little bit more, and I found the same exact ones at the dollar store. So you might want to go to the dollar store and check that out. So first I'm going to show you how to make this headband. This one here I would say is a little bit easier to make than these and much faster. I think I got this done in about an hour and this one took like 3 to 4 hours. And that's because we're working with small beads and we're using a lot of them. So first I'm going to show you how to make this one. Here's the list of materials you'll need to make this headband. You will need 7.5 feet of 8-pound or 10-pound monofilament. You will also need 1 scunci no slip grip headband. You're also going to need beads. 7mm or 8mm beads seem to work, but basically you need your bead from hole to hole to be the same width as your headband, and you're also going to need enough of them to bead a 12-inch strip onto your headband. And something else I found very helpful with making this headband is my wooden bead loom. If you already have one of these, this is a great tool to do this. What I did is I just took the nuts off the ends of my bolts, slid my headband on over the bolts, then I put my bolts back on, put the nuts back on, and it made it a lot easier to work on the headband. So this tool is optional. You don't have to have this, but I really found it to be helpful. So this is all that you need to make this headband, and I will leave all the materials listed in the description bar below this video. So go ahead and cut 7.5 feet of monofilament. I'm using a shorter piece, but it's just for demonstration purposes. You know, working with that much string in front of a tripod is a pain in the butt because it gets stuck on the tripod. But I did it just fine with 7.5 feet. I'm not the kind of beater that likes to do short pieces of thread, tie off, and add more. I like to use the exact amount. But for this headband, we will have to do 2 separate pieces of thread because we will need a lot for that headband. So I'm using a shorter piece just for demonstration purposes, and you might notice when you take your monofilament off your spool that it's all curly, and that kind of makes it hard to work with. So what you have to do is grab the end of your monofilament and pull it between your fingers, and what it does is it straightens up the monofilament so it's easier to work with, so it doesn't get all curled up. And do this as many times as you have to till it's straight. Okay, so mine's straight enough. Now, when we go to put this on here, first I have to tie a knot on here to secure it, and then I could put the headband onto my loom. So you might notice that there's a seam on this headband. It's right here. With this one, I left this seam at the very back of my head, and I measured it so it's centered, and it's 3.5 inches from this side to the center and 3.5 inches from this side to this side. If you want, you don't have to have it in the back of your head. You can have it underneath your beads right here and it won't be seen. And that's probably what I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave it here and I'm going to start beading right here. So the first thing we have to do is pick up a bead, and I already figured out my pattern. I'm doing 3 of these gray beads and a moonstone. These are shells, and this is a moonstone bead. I'm going to put my monofilament on my headband like this. So I have to pick up 1 bead, put it on my headband just like this, and I'm going to take this string, wrap it around the headband, and go back into this bead just like this. Now I need to get a ruler and measure my tail because I need a 6-inch tail, so later on I can tie more knots and secure this better. So this is the end. I'm holding it here and I'm scooting this down till I get to 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is take this string over here, just like this. So this is wrapped around the headband one time, and now it is a second time, and I'm going to tie a knot, a surgeon's knot. So over and under, pull it down, over and under again, but this time we're going to do it twice, and pull that down. Just like that, and I'm going to do it one more time. So it's more secure. Over, under, pull it tight. 1, 2, and pull it down. So now our bead is secure onto our headband, and now I can put this headband onto my bead loom. So I went ahead and put my headband onto my bead loom, and all I did was just take my nets off and slid it over top of my bolts. And now I'm ready to bead. So my tail is right here and it's kind of in the way, so I'm just going to put it under this bolt and pull it off to the side. So the first thing I'm going to do, right here's my working string, I'm going to put it underneath this band. Be very careful not to wrap it around this one. Okay, so now that it's underneath this one, I'm going to pick up another bead. And with these shell beads, it seems like there's always one side that's prettier than the other. So I gotta pay attention to that. This one. This side's nicer. So now I'm going to take the string and I'm going to wrap it around the bottom of this headband. Pull the string out the other side. Then I'm going to take it and go through this bead. Pull it through and pull it tight. Just like this. So again, I want to add another bead. So I'm going to take the string and put it under the headband, bring it out this side, pick up a new bead, which is another shell, slide it on, lay it on top of the headband, pull it snug. This one above it does seem to loosen up. The last one that you put on, when you put a new one on, the last one seems to loosen up a little bit. So you got to make sure that you do keep it kind of snug. So now I'm going to take the string and go under the headband, take the end of it and go through this bead, hold the bottom string and pull this through, pull it tight, wrap the string around, pick up another bead. And this time I'm going to do the moonstone. Slide this on. Need to pull this tight again, it's getting loose. Pull that tight, wrap the string around, put the moonstone on next, wrap this underneath, and go to the moonstone bead. Hold the bottom string and pull the string through, just like this. Wrap it underneath, pick up a new bead, another shell one, make sure this is tight, lay the shell one on top, wrap it underneath the headband, and sew through the top of the bead. Pull the string through, pull it tight, and go back under and add another bead. So this is pretty simple to do, and you could see because we're using bigger beads instead of seed beads, it's working up fast. So pull it snug, wrap this underneath, go into this bead here. I lost my string. And pull it through. Wrap the string underneath the headband, put another bead on, lay it on top, wrap the string underneath, and then go through this side. I'm going to do it one more time. Picking up a moonstone, wrapping this underneath, putting the moonstone on, so the string's going underneath, laying the bead right beside the last one, wrapping this underneath, and then going back through this bead. Make sure every time you add a new one on that you go underneath and then stack the bead here, because if you were to not go underneath and just put a bead on this string and then go this way and then go underneath, it's not going to sit right. So you always have to go underneath and then put your bead right here beside the last one. So keep going doing this weave until you have 12 inches of this finished, and then I'll show you what to do from there. So I kept on going, and I meant to tell you all something. When you're beading and you get down here and you have to still do more rows, all you have to do is just push the headband up and it flips over in the bottom side, and then you can finish doing your 12-inch strip of beads. So I finished doing my 12 inches, and now I have to take this off my loom, and I'm going to show you how to tie knots. Right here I am at my last bead. I'm going to take my monofilament, my working end, and go underneath, and then I'm going to go through this bead again. Now if you look right here, you could see we have these strings, and I'm going to take the monofilament and I'm going to go underneath the strings and catch them, make a loop, go through the loop twice, and pull this knot down. Now I'm going to go through this bead, pull this through. Now my knot, oh, it did go in. Sometimes when you're working with beads that have really small holes, like these shell ones, the knot doesn't want to go in them, but mine actually went in this one. Okay, so now I'm on this side. Now I can't go through this bead like that because I haven't gone in that thread path direction yet, so I have to follow my old thread path. So if you flip this over and look underneath, I have to follow this thread path right here and then go through this bead here. But I always have to tie a knot before I go through the bead, so I'm not actually going to go through it until I tie a knot. So I'm going to go through these threads, make a loop, go through the loop twice, and pull the knot tight. And now I'm going to go through this bead, pull this out the other side, wrap it around again, and tie another knot right here. Make a loop and go through it twice. So 3 or 4 knots will do for this, and then with the rest of the tail I would just take it and weave it, going back through this, twisting around the headband, and make sure that you also do the same thing with this knot and hide your tail. So keep going, tying your knots, and make sure that you snip the monofilament off at the end. I just finished showing you how to make this headband, and now I'm going to tell you the list of materials you will need to make this kind. Here is the list of materials you will need to make these headbands. You're going to need 2 pieces of 8-pound fireline cut 8 feet each. So 8 feet is going to get you this much, and then the other 8 is going to get you the rest of your headband. So you actually need a total of 16 feet, but that is way too much string to work with, so I'm just doing half of the headband at a time. So that is 8-pound fireline, 2 pieces, cut 8 foot each. You're also going to need 1 goody stayput headband. You're also going to need 11/0 or 10/0 seed beads. I used hex cut for my headbands because they are very sparkly, and I just love how they look. You can also use regular seed beads, but the amount that we'll be using in each row might be different because these hex cuts are just a little bit longer than regular seed beads, so you might have to use more if you do regular seed beads. You're also going to need one size 10 or 12 beading needle, and that's it. You don't have to use the bead loom on this one because with this one we want to see what's going on in the back side, and with the other one we didn't have to do that. So with this one you want to do it just by hands. So on this headband where it's sewed shut at, it's pretty bulky. It sticks out, so I cannot bead on top of this. So this part has to be at the back of the neck. So I want this to be centered in the back of the neck so it looks nice. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half, right where it's sewed shut at, and I'm going to measure 3.5 inches right here from where it's shut at. Then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the back of this, and I want to get close to the edge. Right here is good. See that? And I'm going to come up and through. And with this too, I also want to leave a 6-inch tail. And then I'm going to go back down, and it doesn't really matter where as long as it's just like really close to it. So we're right here maybe. It's a good spot. I'll go down here. So we went up from the back and now we're going back down. Just like this, and you can see our thread here. We're just tying this in place. So I'm going to measure my tail, and I want a 6-inch tail, so this needs to slide down more. We need this tail to tie back into our work at the end. Okay, so now I have a 6-inch tail, and I'm just going to tie a surgeon's knot on the back of this headband. So just like we did the other one. Over and under, pull it down. You don't want to tie it really tight, the first surgeon's knot, because it will be like really packing these threads together, and you'll actually have a hole there if you pull it too tight. So just gently tie this knot. I have to go under one more time. Pull it down. Okay. Now I'm going to tie another surgeon's knot, and this one's going to be tighter. Over and under one time, and then the second round you have to do it twice. Okay, so just like that. Now I'm going to flip this back over, take my needle, and I have to make sure I'm not going to get wrapped around this. Okay. Take my needle, and I want to pass it up over here, over top of this white, so it's not seen, so it's kind of hard to see this on camera. With the knot. When you go to puncture it, you notice that it doesn't want to come through, and that's because you're going through the elastic. So you need to back out and try to find, like right here, I cannot go through. I'm trying to go through the elastic. See the white? That's the elastic. So I need it close to the edge, right by my knot, which is kind of hard to see. I might have to flip it over. Okay. Right here is where I'm going to come through. Nope, that is not a good spot either. Flip it over. Alright. Right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, and I'm going to pull it through. And now we are ready to add our beads. I'm going to do squares on this headband just like I did on this one. So the first row I pick up is going to be all the same color, black. And I'm going to have to do 5 because it takes 5 hex cut C beads to make the exact width of my headband. Now if you're using regular C bead, you might have to use like 6 or 7 on the headband. Okay, so I picked up 5 hex cut C beads. I'm sliding them down, and I have to pierce my headband straight across from where I pierced it at last. And you want to get as close to the outer edge as possible, because the more towards the center you get, like if I was more towards the center, like right here next to these red rubbery pieces, this would not be laying flat. It would be like looping up, and it would be standing out, and it would not look pretty. Okay, so I went through there, and now I'm going to come up through this side, and I have to come right up above my other one. So as close as the edge to the edge as I can get. Right there is good. Pull it through. Now I'm going to pick up my second row. My second row, I'm going to do 1 black and 3 clear AB hex cut seed beads and 1 black. Slide it down. I have to come out straight across from where I came out earlier and as close as to the edge as I can possible, and pull it through just like that. Now I'm going to come up again on this side as close to the edge of the headband as I can and pick up my third row. For the third row, you want to do 1 black, 1 clear, 1 black, 1 clear, 1 black, 5 seed beads, and this is going to be the center of my square. So slide that down and go through the edge over here in the headband. Pull that through. Now I'm going to come back up from the bottom on this side. You want to get close to the last row. You do want to make sure that you're close to this last row, because if I was like up here, there would be a space in between the seed beads. You'd see the headband. So now I'm going to pick up 1 black and 3 clear. You don't have to do squares on this. Because this is kind of like a loom bracelet, you can do different designs on this. It just has to be as many beads as you can go wide. So I can only go 5 wide. So I'm kind of limited to my design. But if I had more seed beads, I could do a more nicer looking design. Okay, so I'm exiting out of this side, and I have to go up on this side. I'm going to pick up 5 seed beads again. And sew back down. Just like that. Pull it tight. And then I'm going to come up over here. Now, the next square, the outside is not going to be black. It's going to be clear. It's going to be a different color. So I have to pick up 5 clear. Just like this, and slide it down. And I have to go through as close as I can get to the edge of the headband. And if it feels tight like you can't go through, then you're piercing the elastic. And you have to go back out. Then try to go back through again in a different area. And my thread just came off my needle, so I have to restrain. After the clear row, I have to pick up 1 clear, 3 black seed beads, and 1 clear. So again, it's a total of 5, but that's my color pattern. And I have to go down the outer edge over here, as close as I can get to the outer edge. Now I have to come back up right above the last bead and pick up my next row. The next row is going to be right here, but it's going to be the opposite. So instead of picking up black, I'm going to do clear, black, clear, black, clear. 5 seed beads, just like this. Slide it down, and then I'm going to go through the outer edge. Pull it through, just like that. I'm going to come back up the back again on the outer edge, as close as I can get. And this time I'm going to pick up 1 clear, 3 black, and 1 clear. Slide it down and go through the outer edge. And careful, if you can't pierce it, it's because you're going through elastic, so you need to back it out and try it again. Okay? It does help if you flatten it and then pull it tight. So coming back up, I'm going to add my last row of this square, which is clear. So picking up 5 clear, sliding it down, going through this side, Now, the next square, you would have to pick up all black. So, the next row is going to be 5 black seed beads. And then go back down. Then you would repeat this one here, the black, clear, 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 black. So keep going, repeating these steps until you have a 6-inch tail left over. Now I'm going to show you how to tie off your thread, but before I do, I need to explain to you. Once you do your first 8-foot piece of string and you have your 6-inch tail left, you're going to want to tie it off the same way I'm going to show you over here. And after you finish tying that off, you will have to weave your thread back through this part here, which I've already done. This tail here is the new tail that I started. So after you finish doing your 6 inches of the beading, you have to start a new piece of thread, and you're going to start that piece the same exact way we started it down here. It's not going to be any different. You just have to butt up your seed beads. So here gets in my knot, so there's no gap. So right in here is where I started a new square, and you cannot tell that I stopped and added a new thread because it's on the bottom. You can't see it, there's no gap. So now I'm going to show you how to tie this off. One more thing I needed to tell you before we tie knots. Right before you tie your knot, you want to make sure that you have the same amount of beading on both sides of your headband. So fold your headband right here in half, and then down here, pull it and hold it like that. And you can see that it's perfectly even on both sides, so I don't have to add another square, and I didn't go over, I don't have to take one out. So right now is the perfect time to tie a knot because it is even. So now I'm going to tie the knot, and this is the last row that I put on. So I'm going to pull this snug. I'm going to take my needle, and I need to come up from the back on this side. Right here. Kind of the same spot where I was at earlier. Pull this out. Now I'm going to go through 2 beads. Just like this, and I'm going to tie a 1/2 hitch knot right here. I'm going to lift this up, go underneath of it, make a loop, and go through it twice. That wasn't actually a knot. Okay. Make sure my knot is going to be right here. I'm going to put this under my finger and I'm going to pull it down. Okay. Now I'm going to take and sew through these 3 seed beads. Pull it to hide the knot. Now I have to go down right here, and I'm going to come up at the 2nd row. So right over here. Okay, now I'm on the side of the 2nd row. I'm going to go through 1 bead now, and I'm going to tie 1/2 hitch knots in between these hex seed beads. One, 2, and pull the knot down, go through another bead, pull the knot into that bead, and tie another knot. And pull it down. And then pass through some more beads. And sometimes you might have to pass through more than just one, and I will here. Okay, and I'll tie another knot here. And after you tie this knot and go through this bead, you have to sew down through, then sew back up right here at the 3rd row. And once you're up at the 3rd row, go through this bead, tie a knot, and keep going, repeating those steps over and over. And after you get done tying knots in this tail, weave it through the rest of your headband right here, and then you have to go back and tie in your other tails, which I only have 2 tails because my last tail, after I finished my 8-foot thread, I went back and already tied that in, so I didn't get that confused with my new tail. So this is my new tail from my new thread that I'm working on right here, and this is my old tail over here. So go ahead and tie the rest of your knots and finish weaving in your tails. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the things you've made for my tutorials on my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching.